My girlfriend and my best friend were just close friends. I finally found out what they'd really been doing behind my back. I've always been the type of guy who tries to see the good in people. My name's Jack, 28 male, and for most of my life, I've been called to trusting. I never thought that would turn into my biggest downfall. Luna, 27 female, and I met 4 years ago at a friend's party. She wasn't just beautiful, she was magnetic. One seemed to orbit around her. She had this laugh that made people want to join in even if they didn't know the joke. I was smitten within minutes. And somehow, against all odds, she felt the same way about me. We clicked fast. She was artistic, passionate, unpredictable, and spontaneous. I was more grounded. I worked as an architect, steady paycheck, steady life. We balanced each other perfectly. Or at least, that's what I thought. For the first 2 years, things were perfect. We traveled, stayed up late talking about the future, and even made plans to buy a place together. Our friends used to joke that we were the couple that gives everyone else false hope. I believed it. I believed us, and more specifically her. Then came Ryan. Ryan, 28 male, was my best friend from college. We met freshman year in a dorm kitchen after both burning ramen noodles in the same microwave. He was loud, charming, and completely fearless in a way that drew people in. We'd been through a lot: bad roommates, road trips, and a failed business idea involving homemade cold brew. And Luna met him. They hit it off instantly. Too instantly, maybe. But at the time, I thought it was great that my girlfriend and best friend got along. We'd all hang out together, and it felt like I'd won some sort of life lottery. My two favorite people in the same room, laughing, connecting, vibing. It was magical at first. I didn't notice anything off. Ryan would text me things like, "Luna's hilarious, man, she's awesome." And Luna would talk about how Ryan's so easy to talk to. Normal stuff, but slowly, the balance started to shift. I'd come home from work, and Luna would casually mention, "Oh, Ryan stopped by earlier, we just watched some videos on YouTube." Or she'd say, "Ryan needed help with his portfolio, so I went over to help him brainstorm." It didn't sound bad, not technically. But something in my gut started whispering that something was off. One night, I came home late from work. I'd texted Luna that I'd be home around 8. But a project deadline pushed me past 10. When I walked in, the lights were low, and there was music playing. I recognized our playlist immediately, and my first reaction was to get excited for a surprise romantic night with my girlfriend. Except Luna wasn't alone. Ryan was sitting on the couch next to her. Too close. They jumped slightly when they saw me. Luna laughed. "Oh, hey. We were just talking about you." Ryan added, "Yeah, man, we were just catching up." I smiled and tried to act normal. But my chest was tight. Why was he at our apartment? After Ryan left, I asked Luna why she hadn't told me he was coming over. She shrugged it off. "I didn't think it was a big deal. We were just hanging out." Maybe it wasn't. But when someone you love starts using words like "it's not a big deal" about things that feel like a big deal, it eats away at you. A few weeks later, I noticed she was on her phone more, smiling at texts she didn't share, keeping her screen tilted away from me. I asked once who she was talking to, and she said, "Just Ryan. He's having a rough week." The next day, Ryan showed up at my office with lunch for the two of us. He acted totally normal. He cracked jokes and talked about the gym. I felt crazy for even being suspicious. But the weirdness didn't stop. Luna started mentioning Ryan, constantly comparing things I did to him, laughing at his jokes from earlier conversations. I remember one night, lying in bed, she was scrolling on her phone. The screen lit up her face. I asked, half joking, "Talking to Ryan again?" She smiled. "Maybe." "Don't be jealous." I laughed, but something inside me fractured a little. I told myself to stop being paranoid. Ryan was my best friend, and Luna loved me. That should have been enough. Then came the weekend. That changed everything. Luna told me she was going to visit her sister in another city for 3 days. She even showed me the bus ticket confirmation. I didn't question it, but on Saturday morning, I stopped by a local cafe before heading to the gym and saw Luna's car parked across the street. My heart dropped. I walked closer, just to make sure it was hers. It was. Same cheesy sticker on the back window, same dent on the bumper. And sitting inside the cafe at the corner table was Luna, laughing with Ryan. They didn't see me. I froze for maybe a full minute before walking away. My chest felt like it was caving. Eni didn't confront them then. I needed to think. I needed to be certain. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe it was innocent. But when I checked her phone location later, it showed she had hidden her location from me. We had our locations shared with each other since I got caught in traffic, gone to get dinner, and Luna was wanting live updates. That was the first time I felt my trust start to die. Didn't confront Luna right away. I wish I had, but I wanted proof. I needed to be sure before I accused her. So, I waited, observed, and took note of small things. Her texts got more secretive. Her phone was glued to her hand, and I'm pretty sure she got one of those privacy screen protectors. She started dressing differently and doing her makeup even on lazy days at home. When I'd ask who she was going out with, she'd say, just friends. But friends always meant Ryan one night. She said she was going out to dinner with her co-workers. I happened to be driving home from a late shift and passed the restaurant she mentioned. On a gut instinct, I parked and walked. Inside, there were no co-workers. Just Luna and Ryan, sitting side by side in a booth, sharing a dessert. I watched them from the doorway for a few seconds before leaving. I didn't want to make a scene. My chest felt tight, like I couldn't breathe. When I got home, I sat in my car for nearly half an hour trying to decide if I should just pack her things and leave them outside. But I loved her. Even after everything, I loved her so. I confronted her calmly when she got home.
Hey!
I said, "How was dinner with your coworkers?" She smiled. "It was good. Long day though." I nodded. "That's interesting, because I saw you at the restaurant with Ryan." She froze for a second, then laughed. "Oh, come on, you're being dramatic. He just stopped by to say hi. You know how he is." "Really? You were sharing dessert?" She rolled her eyes. "So what?" "It's not a big deal. You're overreacting." And that's how the gaslighting started. Every time I brought up something suspicious, she'd twist it around until I was the problem. "You're being controlling. You're jealous? You don't trust me?" Eventually, I started to doubt myself. Even he acted like nothing was wrong. Still called me bro. Still called me bro. Still showed up to hang out like nothing was off it. Got to the point where I stopped inviting him over, hoping he'd get the hint. But then Luna started visiting him. He'd come home from work, and she'd be gone for hours. When I asked where she'd been, she'd say, "Just helping Ryan with something." I tried to be understanding, but every bone in my body screamed that something wasn't right. Then one night, it all came crashing down. I was cleaning up after dinner, and her phone lit up on the counter. A message popped up from Ryan. It said, "Can't wait to see you again tonight." When I saw that message, "Can't wait to see you again tonight," I froze. My first instinct was denial. Maybe it meant something innocent. Maybe they were planning a surprise for me. But that hope lasted all of 5 seconds before my brain reminded me of all the crossed boundaries. All the coincidences. My hands were shaking. I stared at that message for what felt like an hour. I didn't touch her phone. I didn't snoop further. I didn't have to. I'd already seen enough. When Luna came out of the shower, she was humming, casual, happy. Like she hadn't just betrayed me, hey? I said, keeping my voice steady. Got any plans tonight? She looked at me for a second, almost too long, before smiling. Meeting up with Sarah. We're having a girls' night. I nodded slowly. Oh, not Ryan. She froze. Her eyes flicked to me, then away. Why would you say that? No reason, I said quietly. Just thought maybe you'd want to tell me the truth before you go. She frowned. Jack, what are you talking about? I took a breath. I saw the text, Luna. From Ryan. Can't wait to see you again tonight. Her entire face drained of color. You looked at my phone. That's what you're upset about? I asked. Not the fact that you're lying to me again? She crossed her arms. You're twisting things? I'm not lying. He's just a friend, and you're being paranoid. I laughed. It didn't even sound angry, just this tired, broken sound. Paranoid, right? So, when you lied about seeing your sister, and I saw you with him at the cafe, that was just me. Being paranoid too? Luna went silent. You could have just told me, I said quietly. If you wanted him instead, you could have just said it. Tears welled up in her eyes. Jack, it's not like that. You've been so distant lately. You're always working. I just don't, I said sharply. Don't make this about me. You chose this. She didn't reply. Just stood there, staring at the floor. Finally, I said, where are you going tonight, Luna? She hesitated, then whispered, to see him. Something inside me went cold, Denko, I said. Go see him. But don't come back. Ha! Eyes widened. What? I mean it. If you walk out that door tonight, we're done. For a second, I thought she'd stay. But then she grabbed her purse and left without a word. I just stood there, listening to the sound of her car pulling out of the driveway. Realizing that was the sound of everything ending, the next morning, I woke up feeling hollow. She hadn't come home. I didn't text her, didn't call. I just let it sink in. Ryan called me sometime around noon. Hey man, he said, voice too casual. You okay? Luna told me you guys had a fight. I said nothing for a few seconds. Then I asked, Ryan, are you seeing her? He paused. What? No, dude. Why would you, Ryan? Silence then, in the quietest voice imaginable, he said. It just happened, man. We didn't mean for it to. It just happened. That line, it just happened, was like gasoline on fire. You didn't mean for it. I said, my voice shaking. You've been sneaking around behind my back for months. Jack, listen, don't. You're supposed to be my best friend. He tried to defend himself, saying he fell for her, that it wasn't planned. That feelings are complicated. But all I could think about was every moment I'd trusted him, every time I'd left the room, every time he'd laughed with us, like nothing was wrong. I hung up mid-sentence later that day. Luna came home. She looked wrecked, eyes puffy, makeup smudged. She said she'd slept at Ryan's, but nothing happened. I just stared at her. You expect me to believe that? She started crying. She said she made a mistake. She said she still loved me. That she wanted to fix things. But I couldn't even look at her without seeing him. I told her to leave. She started begging and cried harder. She said she'd end things with Ryan. Said she'd prove it, but I'd already made up my mind. I told her I needed time, and that she should stay with her sister for a while, after she left. I sat alone in our living room, surrounded by photos of us vacations, birthdays, everything, and realized that my entire life had been built on a lie. I didn't know it then, but that night would mark the start of my revenge, the quiet kind. The kind that doesn't look like revenge at first. The kind that hits hardest when they think they've won. The weeks after Luna left were brutal. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Everything in my apartment reminded me of her, her art supplies, her kitten coffee mug, even the scent of her perfume lingering on the couch. Ryan tried to reach out a few times, but I ignored every call. Luna sent long messages, pages of apologies, confessions, promises to change. I read them, then deleted them. At work, I kept my head down. My boss thought I was just tired. My friends thought I'd had a bad breakup. No one knew the full story. I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. But as the weeks passed, something in me shifted. The heartbreak started turning into something else. Something sharper because, while I was sitting at home piecing my life back together, Luna and Ryan were posting photos together. Subtle ones. At first, a shared latte, the same background at a concert, inside jokes in the captions. Then, a few weeks later, a hard-launch couple photo. No shame, no guilt. It was like I never existed. That's when I stopped feeling sad and started feeling focused. I wasn't going to yell or post online or try to ruin their lives. I was going to outgrow them and make sure everyone saw exactly who they really were. Knew Luna's patterns better than anyone. She was impulsive, loved attention, and couldn't stay focused on one thing for long. And Ryan, he was ambitious, but reckless. He needed approval from everyone. So I started planning. A big opportunity opened up at work, a design project that needed a new lead. It required someone reliable, organized, and creative. Guess who Luna had been bragging about being the creative one in our relationship? I'd always let her take that spotlight, but not this time. I threw myself into that project. Late nights, early mornings, every ounce of energy I had went into making it perfect. When it launched, it became a hit. Our firm got featured in an architectural magazine, and my name was front and center then. By coincidence or karma, Luna reached out again. Hey, her message read, I saw the article. I'm proud of you. Can we talk? I didn't reply. A week later, she texted again. Ryan and I aren't together anymore. He's been awful. I made a mistake. Of course she did. I waited a few days before responding. Hope you're okay? Nothing more. That single, polite message seemed to drive her crazy. She started texting more, calling, even showing up outside my building once. I didn't let her in. Then I got a call from a mutual friend. Apparently Ryan had cheated on her. Was like watching the whole thing replay in reverse. The same lies, the same excuses, but this time, she was the one being gaslit, and that's when the real satisfaction began. I wasn't going to gloat. I wasn't going to say I told you so. I didn't have to. The world was already doing it for me. It's strange how time changes the way you see people. When Luna left me for Ryan, it felt like losing the two people I trusted most. I thought I'd never recover. But watching them implode from afar was like seeing a play where you already know the ending. A few months after they started dating, mutual friends began telling me stories. Ryan had become possessive. Luna's spontaneity, the same thing. Used to love about her, drove him crazy. She'd go out with friends, and he'd accuse her of flirting. She'd post a photo online, and he'd pick a fight. I didn't say a word. Just listened, smiled politely, and kept building my own life. My project at work took off. The magazine feature turned into an invitation to speak at a local architecture conference. My name was circulating in industry circles. Suddenly, people who'd barely noticed me before were reaching out to collaborate. And through it all, I kept seeing little glimpses of Luna online. Her Instagram account that she used for her art went quiet. Then she started posting cryptic stories, sad quotes, old pictures, nothing new with Ryan. Eventually, they unfollowed each other. It was almost poetic. Then one evening, about 6 months after everything fell apart, I got a text from Luna. "Can we please talk? Just one last time. I need to explain." I ignored it. She texted again an hour later. "I'm sorry, Jat. I miss you. I was stupid." I didn't reply to that one either. The next morning, she showed up at my building. Again. Same place as before, outside my door, eyes red. "Clutching a coffee cup like a peace offering, please," she said when I opened the door. Just 5 minutes. I let her in. She looked smaller, somehow less confident, less radiant. Her energy, that bright spark she used to have, was gone. She told me everything. How Ryan had cheated on her with someone from his gym. How he'd been lying about money, about job interviews, even about where he was at night. How she'd caught him texting multiple girls. She said, "I know I deserve this, Jack. I know I hurt you. But I didn't think it would feel like this, like I destroyed myself in the process." And for the first time since it all began, I didn't feel angry. Just done. "I don't hate you, Luna," I said. "I just don't trust you. And I don't think I ever will again." She cried quietly. Then she said something I'll never forget. "You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I traded you for chaos." There was nothing I could say to that. After she left, I realized that the best revenge wasn't destroying her life. It was living mine so well that she had to watch from the sidelines, but fate wasn't done with either of them. 2 months later, Ryan reached out. He texted me out of the blue, "Hey man, can we talk?" I didn't respond at first, but curiosity got the better of me. He called a few days later, and I finally picked up. "Jack," he said, "I messed up, man. I really messed up." I stayed quiet. He went on, explaining how Luna had gone off the rails, how he was just trying to make things right, how nobody understands what really happened. He sounded desperate. Then he said something that made me realize karma was working overtime. "Man, I think she's been talking to people about me, telling them lies, trying to ruin my reputation. I might lose my job over it." That's when it hit me. Luna had started doing to him exactly what she'd done to me. I didn't even need to lift a finger. They'd built their relationship on betrayal, and it collapsed under the same weight. Still, part of me wanted closure, not just quiet revenge. I wanted something poetic, something that would make it clear to everyone who they really were. And that opportunity came sooner than I expected. A few weeks later, I got invited to a networking event hosted by one of our firm's biggest clients. The same client who had been looking to commission an artist for an upcoming commercial space. You will never guess who was on the short list of potential collaborators. I almost laughed when I saw Luna's name in the email. Apparently, she'd been trying to rebuild her career, pitching herself as a visual storyteller specializing in emotional design. So, during the event, I made sure to attend. She was there, dressed elegantly and clearly nervous when she saw me across the room. Her smile faltered. I gave her a polite nod later, during a casual group chat. The client asked me, "Jack, you've worked with Luna before, right? What's she like to collaborate with?" And here's where my revenge took form, not cruel, not vengeful, just honest. I smiled and said, "She's talented, no question. But she struggles with follow-through. Projects sometimes get sidetracked. I'd just recommend having clear expectations and written commitments up front. No lies, no insults. Just Truth, stated calmly, with witnesses. The client nodded thoughtfully and thanked me. Luna heard every word. Her expression said it all: shock, guilt, and the sting of realizing that her actions had consequences far beyond heartbreak. That night, I slept better than I had in a year. A year after everything ended, I barely recognized my old life. The heartbreak that once consumed me had turned into something like freedom. I'd moved to a new apartment, bought a dog, started running again. I'd even met someone new. Emily is kind, grounded, and most importantly, honest. The opposite of everything that had destroyed me before she knew the story. I told her early on because I wanted transparency. She didn't judge, she just said, "You didn't deserve that, but you handled it with more grace than most people could." And for the first time, I actually believed it. One afternoon while out walking my dog, I ran into Luna again. Total coincidence. She looked surprised to see me. We talked for a few minutes. She was polite, but distant. She told me she'd moved back in with her parents for a while, trying to find herself again. She said she was teaching art classes now and saving up to travel. Then she smiled faintly and said, "You look happy, Jack. Really happy." I said, "I am." She nodded. "Good. You deserve it." We said goodbye, and I never saw her again. As for Ryan, last I heard, he'd been fired from his job after an HR complaint involving inappropriate behavior. Some people never change. A few months later, I got engaged to Emily. We didn't post about it. Didn't make a scene, just shared the news with family and friends. But one of those mutual friends later told me Luna had seen the announcement. She'd commented a simple heart emoji, then deleted it a few minutes later. And somehow, that tiny gesture felt like the final punctuation mark at the end of a very long sentence. If you asked me now what I learned from all of it, I'd say this: love can make you blind, but betrayal makes you see clearer than ever before.